Well, welcome, Sam, to the Girlfriend Doctor Show. It is beautiful to have this time to talk with you.
Thank you. I've really been looking forward to sharing some stories and insights with your community.
Well, I'll tell my audience, that Sam, I first met Sam. Was it at a unicorn event? I think it was. It was at a unicorn event. We were able to connect with you, and I didn't know who this woman was. But everything that came out of your mouth, this was like what, 4 or 5 years ago when I first met you, um, and I would say, if it wasn't about medical literature, I wasn't reading it, and I should have been. I should have been reading everything you've ever written, but everything that came out of your mouth was so profound, and you were part of the ground, that group that in that room labeling me the girlfriend doctor, and so with I attribute that branding to you, and through the years, through getting to know you, working with you, and your help and so much of what I've done and created, helping me create the word oxyplay. And like eventually that will be an amazing TED Talk. We'll talk about that later. But so just being able to spend this time with you and talk about what you've written and why it's so important to read and understand the concepts that you've put here in talking on eggshells. So I want you to talk about because you talk about your personal journey too in this. Like I love that, and I love your vulnerability in here too, by the way.
Well, thank you. So we've got three different areas. Number one, especially since you are the girlfriend doctor and you came up with a one-of-a-kind brand. So you're not one of many, you're one of kind. And you came up with something to help you stand out from the crowd instead of get lost in the crowd. So if you want, some of our conversation today could be about how anyone listening, if they have their own business or if they have a project or a presentation or a book, how can they help it break out instead of blend in? Because blending in is for Cuisinarts, right? and then we can talk about being conflict averse and how Harvard said that 67% of women identify as conflict averse. And what that means is when things go wrong, or if it's a hard conversation, they just head the other direction. So how can we have the confidence and the clarity to actually face hard conversations instead of run the other way? And then the third thing, if you would like, is that we can also talk about how, as women, we can be real advocates for each other, how we can support each other, how we can be champions for each other, because that's what you role model with your example and with your show.
Yeah, yeah. And the girlfriend doctor community, I mean, we are not alone. The biggest thing here and how that relates to the menopausal journey, it's a time to open up and not to shut down. And I think that's the empowerment piece I want women to recognize is that, and many times we deny what we're feeling, we suppress our thoughts, our emotions, we become so disconnected from exactly how we feel. We don't even know how to answer other than okay or good or would it, we don't tapping into being able to express ourselves instead of talking on eggshells.
You're so right, is that Wally Lamb, who wrote the book She's Come Undone, said, oh, what I've done to be liked, And if we navigate our life by seeking approval and will this person get angry? Or if I say this, am I going to hurt their feelings? Then guess what? That's the name of my book. We are talking on eggshells through our life. And it's just anxiety producing on a daily basis. We really can't relax because we're always worrying about saying the wrong thing. So the premise of that book is that, here's what to say when you don't know what to say in all these character building situations we face every day. So shall we jump in with some examples?
Please.
Okay. Now, Anna, you know me, is that I'm going to recommend that people grab a piece of paper, right? And put a vertical line down the center. And on top of the left-hand column, they put words to lose. And on top of the right-hand column, they put words to use. Because Steve Persante, who is the publisher of Barrett Kohler, who was publisher of the year a few years ago, I asked him his criteria for publishing a book. And he said 3 words. You know what they were?
Just do it.
Just do it. Well, that comes in second place because that's a good one too. And his is show the shift, right? So see, part of what all of my work is about is in the left-hand column, we put what doesn't work. Here are beliefs and behaviors that actually sabotage our success. Here are attitudes and actions that compromise our effectiveness. And then over on the right, here are beliefs and behaviors that support our success. Here are attitudes and actions that contribute to our effectiveness. And in the book, Talking on Eggshells and Tung Fu, and all of my books, at the end of every chapter, we have this kind of summary because it's the quickest way to make complex ideas crystal clear and to show the shift. So let's start off with, would you like to know what to do when people complain?
Oh, for sure.
This is not a hypothetical situation, right,
No,
Anna?
not at all.
Okay, so over on the left, when people complain, don't explain. Put explain in the left-hand column. Because if something goes wrong, we think if we explain what happened, people will forgive us. No, explanations come across as excuses. They actually get angrier because they feel we're not being accountable. So over on the right, put the A train. A for agree, A for apologize, A for act. So say we're late picking someone up. You were supposed to be here an hour ago. Over on the, oh, I know I was stuck in traffic. I couldn't call you because my phone was dead, la, la, la. And you see, we go down the rabbit hole, right?
Right.
Of a conflict that gets worse. What if instead we say, A, agree? You're right. I was supposed to pick you up an hour ago. A for apologize. And I'm sorry you ended up waiting so long. A for act. And from now on, if I'm trying to pick you up on a Friday afternoon, I'm building in a cushion for Murphy's Law. Do you see how the A train expedites complaints? Explanations aggravate them.
Yeah, no, and I am writing down right alongside with you here, and everyone on my team is going to be listening to this podcast for sure. And I think it's so important. And of course, when you said, late, I immediately think of my typical, picking up my daughter from school, got distracted, I got engaged in a conversation or, whatever the situation may be. And it's just that, build in the cushion. Absolutely. Like make that change, build in the cushion and apologize. I really love that. Thank you. Agree,
Anna, can we follow
apologize,
up
and
with
act.
Yep. And since you talked about picking your daughter up from school, we have a bonus tip on top of that. If we're late picking someone up, whether it's our kids, whether it's a friend, whatever, is because I think my son Andrew, and I was late picking up Andrew from Montessori one time, and I wheeled into the driveway of his Montessori school, and here's his little boy sitting on the steps, dejected. All the other kids are gone. I started Andrew, I'm so sorry. And Anna, he looked at me and he said 2 words. Do you know what they were? Sorry, accepted.
Oh, that
Is
is
that
so good.
powerful?
That is so good.
Isn't it? Because it was like, okay, it's over. He also, one time, my sons were born and raised in Maui, and we lived in Wailea, which is in the lee of Haleakala. So we only got 5 days of rain a year. And on one of the days it rained, Tom turned our mural in our hall wall into a mural. He turned the hall wall into a mural. So I was not a happy camper, and I was letting him know about it. And he interrupted me, and he said 2 words that completely transformed the situation. You know what they were?
No, what were they?
Fresh start.
Mm.
Think about that, right? Because if we're carrying a grudge, or if we're upset, or somebody's, done something, if we say fresh start, 2 words, it kind of closes the books on it and puts it behind us so we can move forward, right?
So good. So good. Like stop that spiral, right? Just to stop the spiral. Let's just get in the present moment. We're good. I love that.
Now, I'm taking notes on you because I've never used that phrase before, stop the spiral. And I'm going to use it with attribution because that's perfect. That's exactly what we're doing. Is we're being a pattern interrupt. Is that over on the left, these reactions are right on the tip of the tongue. Someone's accusing us of something that's not true. Someone's blaming us for something that's not our fault. It's like, hey, why are you blaming me? This isn't my fault. I didn't do this. I wasn't the one. And spiral, right?
Yep.
And so would you like to know a tangible way to be a pattern interrupt and then the words to use?
Yes, but I still just have to say you were only late once picking him up. Oh my God. I just had to stop there for a second. I am just so impressed. So impressed. I am trying to get my daughter an early driver's license before she even turns 16. I'm like, this is how I'm stopping that spiral, Sam.
See, there are all kinds of ways to stop a spiral, aren't there? Good for you for being proactive. Now, Anna, you play sports, right?
Yes.
Okay, tell me the sports that you've played growing up, please.
Oh, I played soccer
Mhm.
and tennis. Those are my two.
Okay, soccer and tennis. And now with team sports, if people are getting into it, what other than blowing the whistle, the referee uses a hand signal to be a pattern interrupt and to stop the fight. What does he or she do?
Yeah, well, I mean, it really depends. It's like, I don't know.
Yeah, all of that. I love this one
Oh
because
yeah, timeout.
say something's gone wrong, and people, the blaming begun. Well, you were the one who dropped the ball. Don't look at me. It's Sally who is in charge. Is that if we try to talk over them, our voice of reason gets drowned out in the commotion. So like, people and their notes talk about, okay, people are blaming, people are like pointing fingers, is like over on the left, put find fault, right? Because that's what's happened. You're responsible, you drop the ball, whatever. Find fault doesn't work. Do a pattern interrupt and say the words time out. And then move over to the right, say, we're here to find solutions, not fault. It's like John F. Kennedy said, our task is to fix the course for the future, not fix the blame for the past. And we, over on the right, we can say, let's not do this. Or we can say, this won't help. Arguing with each other won't undo it. Instead, let's figure out how we can keep this from happening again. And now we're pattern interrupt and we move from what's wrong to how we can do it right.
Oh my God, I'm writing down everything you say. It's like, wait, I can listen to this again. Hold on. But it's so true. And just really recognizing how you can create that pattern interrupt, like the concept of timeout. And one of the things too that like a mantra that I used with my kids, especially when they were all in school, teenagers, middle school, was the pause, breathe, smile, and connect. I mean, it's that just to change my physiology because I would be escalating, and then for me and everyone else in the back seat yelling after, like arguing with each other or something. Pause, y'all. Breathe, deep breath in. Physiologically we activate the vagus nerve. Look in each other's eyes, smile, and really connect. And I think that physiologic pattern interrupt, and got out of the habit of using it. I'm going to put that, I'm going to make a poster on my wall. Pattern interrupt.
Well,
Stop the spiral.
Now, and you brought up another example. So once again, let's talk about like our kids make a mistake. They do something they shouldn't do. And over on the left are the words should, well, it's you should have done this. You shouldn't have done this. Stop doing this. Don't do this. And it makes it worse. So here's a quick story, and then we'll unpack what to say instead that actually helps instead of hurts. So I'm visiting Andrew in New York, and we're getting caught up in the living room. And 1-year-old hero crawls across the floor and he hauls himself up on a guitar that's on a stand in the corner. He starts banging on the strings. Now, over on the left, Andrew could have said, no, he could have said, stop banging on the guitar. He could have said, leave the guitar, stop, whatever, which would have made Hero feel bad. Instead, he said one word. Do you know what the word was?
What?
Gentle. And Anna, I saw Hero's face transform in front of me. And he reached back to the guitar and went strum, strum, strum.
Mm-hmm.
And in that moment, Hero made music. And it was because Andrew shaped his behavior instead of shamed it. He coached him on how to do it right instead of criticizing him for doing it wrong. And my dad used to say, you can't motivate people to do better by making them feel bad. And he actually showed him how to do it better instead of just making him feel bad. So what a powerful lesson about what to do when we catch our kids or ourselves or someone at work doing something they're not supposed to be doing, right?
I love that. I love that word. I love that example too. It's so tangible and actionable. And that word gentle. It's such a powerful, such a just instructive, powerful. Now with my 1 year old, 1.5 year old grandbaby in the house, yeah, can totally relate to that. And coaching instead of criticizing, right? And that
Then
is
they
beautiful.
they learn from the situation instead of lose face in the situation. And I hope people listening just put down on the left a lot of things they say when they want people to stop what they're doing, because put down the word stop
Right.
yelling, stop hitting your sister, stop roughhousing, it's stop being so loud. So often we actually use words that reinforce the dreaded behavior. So you talked about the pause, is that if we're upset and if we're about to say something that has a lot of emotion to it, just ask ourselves, am I over on the left using words like stop or should or don't because I'm going to make things worse? No, what do I want them to start doing instead of stop doing? What do I want them to do instead of don't? So instead of stop hitting your sister, give your sister space. Instead of stop yelling, use your inside voice. Instead of, stop roughhousing, is that, it's quiet time to go to bed. So words matter. They set up ripple effects. And you're talking about a spiral, and these words on the left set up a downward spiral, and the words on the right set an upward spiral where we're modeling what we want instead of what we don't want.
And I want to touch on that, Sam, because um, working in menopause for many many years now, I also recognize the words that leave scars on the souls and how to erase those words. So like, and as a mom, totally like knowing, man, I want to get out that eraser big time, right? Again, and see what I can do, but also like those words are powerful. I mean, we grew up with that saying, sticks and stones will break your bones, but words will never hurt you. And it's so untrue. It's so
Yeah.
untrue, recognizing that those words really can hurt you. And how do recognizing that, but is there a way we can erase those words on our soul?
I hope everyone watching and listening right now just writes down a few things that they say to themselves that makes them feel bad. And Tara Conklin said, the story we tell about ourselves is our greatest work of art. So over on the left, do we say I'm a klutz? Over on the left, do we say, I never finish anything? Over on the left, do we say, it's like I don't have any friends? Over on the left, do we say it's like I'm fat? Over on the left, do we say it's like, my face is just got, I hate my wrinkles, whatever, right? What do we say over on the left?
Mhm.
We are telling ourselves a story, and we are making ourselves feel bad, and we're not helping ourselves be better. So over on the right, what is a new story that we are going to start telling ourselves right now? Instead of I never finish anything, is that I care about this and I'm going to put a date on the calendar and I'm going to get it done. So I feel good about myself. Instead of I fat, is that I care about my body and today I'm going to eat healthy. So at the end of the day, I can look back and feel proud about myself. Instead of, it's like I hate looking in the mirror because all I see are wrinkles. It's like, thank you, face. Thank you for smiling. Thank you for these eyes that see. Thank you for this mouth that tastes. Thank you for this nose that smells. Thank you, face. It's like, what is a story we can tell ourselves that once again helps instead of hurts?
I got one here. So on the left, I put old, and on the
Oh.
right, I put you're going to be a lot older in 50 years, so you better enjoy it.
Yeah. See, and with your work with menopausal women, society is giving us a lot of stories, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Are I'm past my prime, right? Is what society is telling us, or like we're irrelevant, or something like that. Is that we do not allow ourselves to be defined by society.
Mm,
I know you and I both agree that every day is a gift. Every
yeah.
day counts. And to feel grateful for it and blessed by it, Mary Oliver said, instructions for a life: pay attention, be astonished, tell about it. So who is in our life that we're grateful for? It's, in fact, would you like a little way to actually move into that mindset, even if we've had a bad day, even if we're rushed, even if we're busy?
I would love that.
Okay,
Definitely.
it's back when I lived in Hawaii and my sons were young. I would jump on the plane a lot to fly to different islands, to fly to Oahu to give a keynote or to give an all-day training and so forth. So one time I had a contract with the state of Hawaii, and I would get up like at 5 a.m. I'd fly to Oahu, and I would fly home that night after a full day of training, so I could be there to read stories to my sons and make sure we had our rituals and that I was there for them. Well, I was running on empty though. I was pretty exhausted, and it was a big contract and a lot of money. And I was doing it because it served a purpose of giving me a little financial breathing space. However, it took a toll. And one night I'm sitting next to my sons and I'm giving them their nightly back rug. It's bumper cars and slap happy and chop hoppy and finger rain and so forth. But I'm a million miles away in my mind. I'm thinking, okay, did I pack my handouts? What time do I need to get to the airport? Is there gas in the car, etc.? I'm sitting right next to them, Anna, and I might as well be a million miles away in my mind.
I can completely relate.
And then for some reason, my mind came down through my eyes, and I saw Tom and Andrew as if for the first or last time. And an ordinary moment became an extraordinary moment. And I was filled with how thankful I was for the blessing of them. I marveled at their creativity and their vitality and their energy. And we can turn an ordinary, frazzled, frenzied, distracted moment into an extraordinary moment if we just look around us and we see someone and we think that I'm not taking this person for granted. What a miracle they are. We can look. I'm looking up here. I have Georgia O'Keeffe's Blue and Green, where she tried to paint what music sounded like. And every time I look at it, I'm in awe of art and the gift of it. I have meaningful things in my room. So anytime I look, I remember, my sister got me these flowers. I keep them inside in mind, right? It's like, here are my books that I've written. Every time I look at them, I'm so grateful. And so what's your version of that? I'm curious to know.
Well, I think it is just, I mean, first of all, I love taking something that's ordinary and turning it into something that's extraordinary and recognizing it. And that appreciation, like being in that moment, that's bringing heaven to earth. So when
Mm.
I hear you say that, it is like bringing heaven to earth. And I remember one time, and then I was coming out of deep depression. I was really relying on the word of God in my life to work. And part of my prayer was, God, show me heaven on earth. Just show me heaven on earth. And I was in the car in the back seat. My daughter Amanda was driving, and we had been in Jacksonville, Florida, and we were coming back to St. Simon's. They're playing the music loud. My youngest is in the back, and another friend is with us, and they're all singing. And all of a sudden, I felt that feeling like, oh my God, like just this, that in deep in that present moment with great appreciation, with so much compassion and love, like my heart exploded open. I couldn't stop crying. And I realized God has shown me heaven on earth. It is right here. It is right here with us, with the things that are most important to us. And that was just it was a powerful moment. And then if we recognize, for me, it's that reminder, this is heaven on earth. You can make it heaven or you can make it hell. It's up to you. But it's that this is heaven on earth. And so that's what you reminded me of just now. And I thank you for that.
Heaven on earth. I hope people on their notes put on the left hell, right? Because hell is like getting frustrated with something, exasperated with something, impatient with something. It's that, and that, just as you said, is that there is heaven on earth if we choose to make that shift and to see someone or something as if for the first or last time. In fact, for my 60th birthday, it's friends put on an event for me at the National Press Club. And they did This Is My Life. And then the next day, we went to see a movie called Midnight in Paris. And I will always remember that this movie, that the lead character was a novelist, and he was going to Paris with his fiance, and all she wanted to do was shop, and he wanted to go to the cafes where F. Scott Fitzgerald and Ernest Hemingway used to hang out, and all his fiance wanted to do was shop. So one night he's walking home in despair, and he walks by a clock, and it chimes midnight, and a classic Peugeot drives up, and F. Scott Fitzgerald steps out and says, "Want to come to a party?" So through movie magic, he travels through time, and there he is talking with Salvador Dali and Gertrude Stein and reveling in that cafe society. And toward the end of the movie, a woman finds out that he's traveled through time, and she implores him, she grabs him by the shoulders, and she says, "I want to go back and meet Rembrandt. I want to meet, I want to go to the Renaissance." And he looks at her and he says, "Don't you understand?" He said, "These are the golden days. These are the golden days." And I hope we put grumpy on the left and golden days on the right. And if we're feeling grumpy and if we're griping, we're ungrateful. And if we understand that every day counts, and I am not playing light that things go wrong, that we lose loved ones, that we have health challenges, that we're working for a boss that we don't like, or I'm not belittling or undermining or dismissing that. And at the same time, every day we wake up on the other side of the dirt is a good one, right, Anna?
So true, so true. And I mean, I think it's such a beautiful example in the visuals that you paint with your words. I'm like, you hold writing retreats, Sam. Are you still holding those?
I sure am. In fact, I'm involved with several writers' conferences. I think you know that I helped start and run the Maui Writers' Conference for 17 years. What Cannes is to the film industry, we were to the publishing industry. And when we wrapped up, everyone would say, "Sam, where's a world-class writing retreat?" And so I'm with Kauai Writers Conference. I'm doing a program next month for San Miguel Writers Conference. And I have a retreat coming up later this year. And people are welcome to reach out to me through LinkedIn or my website, and we'll send them information about it.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I need to make notes of that because I've been wanting to go to one of your retreats and forever. Everyone that I know that has been to one is just, it's been extraordinary. And I love the little bits of time. So I can't imagine a couple days with you, what that would feel like. And, yeah, so definitely look at that. And I just do a quick shout out, your website, samhorn.com. So samhorn.com. You guys sign up for her emails because when she sends out an email, a letter, I mean, it is profound. I mean, I get a lot of emails, but I don't miss one of Sam's because I know that I get so much value from your writing, a smile, amusement, a tear, just a profound awakening sometimes. And so I thank you for those, you guys, samhorn.com. And I want to just, touch back on your work in talking on eggshells and how we, the workplace conversation, right? Like, because you almost feel like you have to talk on eggshells in the workplace, especially if you're feeling like there's challenges, there's people coming up that are smarter, brighter, prettier than me all of a sudden. And, I see something that needs to be changed. And, how do you approach that? How do you coach through that?
Well, the good news is many companies are buying a copy for all their employees in the call center, employees at the front desk of the hotel, their team leaders, et cetera, because we're taught calculus. We're not taught what to do when people complain, And so can I share like a favorite example of what we can do as a woman leader that I think is a game changer?
Please.
Okay, let's talk about, I was speaking for a women's leadership conference, and in the Q&A, a woman put her hand up and she said, Sam, why are women so catty to each other? Well, and I'd heard this question a lot, and I decided it was time to make a shift. And I said, ladies, we are never going to ask or answer that question again. Because over on the left, put the word deny. If someone makes a negative accusation, if we deny it, we argue and sometimes even prove their point. Over on the right, I said, we're going to Don Draper this. Don Draper said, if you don't like what's being said, change the conversation. Let's change the conversation. And here are the words. Do you know what I've found? See, we don't argue with them. We don't say, I don't think women are catty. If we use their word, we reinforce the negative stereotype. We say, do you know what I found? And then we say, I think women are real champions of each other. I wouldn't have this speaking engagement if someone hadn't reached out and advocated for me. Now there's 4 words. Imagine someone says in the workplace, you don't care about your customers. We do too care about our customers. We're arguing with our customers about whether we care about our customers. Over on the right, say, what do you mean? Well, I've left 3 messages and no one's called back. What do you mean reveals the real issue, and we can address that instead of reacting to their accusation.
That's so good. You're responding instead of reacting, and that makes a big difference.
And we're asking instead of assuming. And now let's talk about relationships, because we've talked about kids, we've talked about work. So imagine your partner says, you never listen to me. What's the first thing we normally say? I do too listen to you. And now we're arguing about what. And instead, look what happens when we say, what do you mean? They may say, well, you have your head in your phone. You haven't even looked up for the last half hour. We can put our phone down and give them our eyes. And you see how asking what they mean or what makes them say that, actually moves the conversation to cooperation instead of anchoring it in a conflict.
Yeah, I love that. What do you mean instead? Yeah. So much good. So much good, Sam. So let's talk about why people should buy Talking on Eggshells, because every one of you, and the same thing, like I'm getting this for everyone in my business, my customer service specifically, because this is just such empowering communication. Do you have this on audiobook too?
You bet. I loved going into the studio and reliving these stories, because I think, I start every chapter with a real life example, no neck up rhetoric, blah, 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 blah. No, here's a real life situation that you've probably faced. And then we unpack it and share exactly what we can say and what not to say in that situation, so that we move it forward instead of anchoring it in the conflict. So do we have time for another story about, okay. Because
Please, please.
you were talking about getting this for your team members, especially people who are customer facing, right?
Yeah.
People who answer the phones, answer the emails, fulfill the product orders, etc. So my 84-year-old Aunt Kay volunteers at a hospital 5 days a week. She drives to the hospital, helps out at the help desk. She did this even during COVID. And I asked what it was like. And she said one word: stressful. And I said, well, put me in the scene where someone took their frustration out on you. And she didn't even have to think about it. She said that she was helping out at the desk. A woman ran in, holding up her phone saying, I just got a text from my daughter. She was in an accident. She's in the ER. I need to get in and see her. Well, Kate called and the nurse told her someone was already with the daughter. Well, you may remember the rules in COVID. It's only 1 visitor per patient, right? Per day. Kay had to deliver that bad news, and the mother lost it. She is screaming, she's sobbing, she's, I can't believe you. How could you deny me? Now over on the left, put the words how rude. Because if we say how rude, why are you blaming me? I didn't make the rules. It's not my fault. Down the spiral we go. Over on the right, put these 4 words. How would I feel? How would I feel if it was my daughter in the ER and I couldn't get in to see her? And Anna, those 4 words turned her from impatience to empathy, from contempt to compassion, from there's nothing I can do to let me see if there's something I can do. She called the nurse back. She said, "Who is with the daughter?" It was the Uber driver who had brought the young woman in. Kay was able to explain the situation and thank him. He left, and the mother was able to get in with the daughter. So, see, this isn't semantics. It transforms the whole situation from contempt, I can't believe you're blaming me, this isn't my fault, to, it's compassion. I may not like or agree with how they're treating me. I may understand it, though. I may be a little more empathetic, which gives me the incentive to try and help them instead of shut them down.
Oh my gosh, we can all be such better people. I just think of that. We can all be just these, these pattern interrupts, right? Just being able to use this pattern interrupt to break that habit. And I think it's, the words often, being a physician too, and working with patients, it's often being able to put words to the emotions that aren't being, that are being expressed or underneath the surface. I think about this beautiful young woman, 41, I saw in practice this last week, and she, long haul COVID, poor thing. I mean, she has a 10-year-old and a 7-year-old. She'd had 4 vaccines, then COVID twice after the second infection. She's not been able to get out of bed. And so, like, sitting in my exam room at this point, and I just looked at her and said, "Don't worry, you're going to be able to be like the most amazing mother to your daughters again." And then she just started crying because, like, under the surface, I mean, like, that was, just that struggle, that emotion. But, being able to have that release and to have that, like you said, compassion, that empathy, like, how would I feel in her situation? It gotta be so hard for me to mother my children, and that can make a difference too. Anyway.
Anna, see what over on the right put humanity is that I'm not saying that these words are a panacea, right? I'm not saying that they're going to fix everything and make everything perfect. That is unrealistic, right?
That would be nice, Sam. I'm
It'd be
kind of
nice.
relying on you for that.
It helps. Here's the thing, though, is that we certify people in Tung Fu and in talking on eggshells. And there's a woman named Gwen Fujie in Hawaii. And she's very good friends with her brother. And her brother had avoided going to a doctor for a long time. And she finally convinced him to go in, and they did a battery of tests. And then the doctor called back and said, "Please come in tomorrow morning and please bring a family member." And he knew that wasn't good news. And when he walked in, unlike you, the doctor had all the charts up on behind and on the desk. And he did not even look up. And he said, "It's stage 4 cancer. We caught it too late. There's nothing we can do." And Gwen wanted to reach across the table. And instead of saying, "There's nothing we can do," look at the power of the 2 words, "I wish." I wish there were more we could do, right?
Mm-hmm.
And instead of saying, there's no way I can help, there's something I can suggest. This is the email of a support group online who help each other with recipes of food they can eat that they can keep down and what they do with, etc. It's like what you're role modeling is really the heart of what we're talking about in this book, is that how we communicate with our loved ones and customers and our employees matters. And if we care enough to remember these words and responses on the right, it can create the quality of relationships that we all want, need, and deserve.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I'm going to say amen to that for sure. Yeah. And then, yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Sam. Tell our audience where to connect with you, where to get the multiple copies of this book that they're going to want to share for sure.
Well, of course, they can get the book on Amazon. And if they find it valuable and leave a review, as you know, it makes
So
our day
great.
when someone takes 3 minutes to leave a review, because our publisher tells me that that's the number one reason that people choose to buy a book is when they read positive reviews that say something specific about the value they got from the book. And on my website, samhorn.com, I've got my 3 TEDx talks there. I've got other books that we haven't talked about. And I hope they follow me on LinkedIn because I post, I'm a writer, and every couple of days I riff off the world. Life is my lab. And so, I'll write about a conversation I just had and an insight that might give them an aha, or a story where something happened that was really powerful. And so I hope they subscribe on LinkedIn and we connect there too.
Yeah, I love that. I'm going to follow you on LinkedIn. I'm sure I am, but I'm going to double check.
Good.
I am going to double check. And you've said so many, I mean, like I just have pages and pages of notes that I did, and just that whole concept of the strategy, that being able to give us something concrete to work with, right? Versus esoteric. And you are so gifted at that. And the most gifted person in the world that I know of at this mastery. And we mentioned talking on eggshells, mentioned the title Tung Fu. I mean, again, what a great title. But will you talk about the gems, why you wrote that book too, and just quickly the gems in that book, because that is another masterpiece.
Well, thank you. I wrote the book Tung Fu more than 20 years ago, and it was actually the #3 ranked book in South Korea almost 20 years after it was published. And Chosin Biz, which is their business newspaper, flew a reporter to interview me. And he said, Sam, this is changing the patriarchy in South Korea because it teaches people how to speak truth to power with respect. So if you know anyone who does martial arts, Tung Fu is like martial arts for the mind and mouth. It's how to deal with difficult people without becoming one ourselves. And, one of the things that I'm so grateful for is I've had an opportunity to speak on that at the US Embassy in London, to Oracle, Intel, Accenture. And one of the things we talk about is in alignment with talking on eggshells, is that martial artists don't go out looking for fights. And if someone picks a fight with them, they don't fight or flail back and make it worse. Is that, what can we say and do in situations so that we are a force for good? In fact, Mother Teresa said, the world is full of good people. If you can't find one, be one. And that book shows how to be a good person even when other people aren't.
I love that. I love that. There's so much, I mean, just so much truth in that. And what Mother Teresa is one of my idols too. So just so many gems, Sam. And I want to thank you. I want definitely thank you for, I mean, I know how hard it is to write a book too, and to put your spirit in the book and to keep it entertaining all throughout, and the stories. You are really the greatest storyteller of all time. I mean, seriously, like of our generation, I am engaged by our conversation, and always you bring a smile to my face and make me feel better as a human than at the start of the conversation. So you're very gifted that way, and an extraordinary person. And I want to thank you, and thank you for all the hard work that you do, and all the mentorship that you feed into us, and sharing your knowledge so generously. I mean, just a gift. Thank you. So for my audience, you guys, samhorn.com. Check it. I promise you, you will know that you have invested in a masterpiece and get so much improvement in your life and your words. And you'll thank me for this. So I want to encourage you to check out Sam Horn, and wherever you get books, Amazon, Talking on Eggshells, start there. Leave Sam a review. Again, it means so much. And this is a bestseller. This is absolutely a bestseller. So leave your review. Let me know what inspires you, what you take home, and what you've taken from this conversation. And the same is true, that your reviews, your comments, your feedback means the world to me as well. So thank you for being here. Thank you for being part of the Girlfriend Doctor community. Enjoy this and share this podcast with your friends. Enjoy the book and share widely. Thank you guys. Till next time.